We now have our next presentation. Super excited to introduce WarnerMedia, who are going to be discussing your pathway into the media industry. So a super exciting presentation coming up, and I'll just introduce you to the three individuals on screen. So we have Annie, an early careers coordinator at WarnerMedia. We then have Sarah, who is the early careers manager. And we have Roxanne, who is our digital analytics intern. So you've got three amazing individuals with unique experiences to talk you through today. I'll pass over to them. And as always, any questions you have, pop them in the tab on stage under Q&A, and we'll be going through them and we'll be asking them at the end. All right, over to you three.
Hi, everyone. I'm going to share my screen so that you can see our presentation. Cool. So, yes, hi everyone. My name is Sarah, as we just covered, but I'm going to be here to talk to you guys about internships at WarnerMedia. And I am joined today by Annie and Roxanne, who both work at WarnerMedia with me. So Annie is our early careers coordinator and Roxanne is one of our current interns in the digital analytics team. So I'm going to start with a sizzle. Hopefully this will work and you'll all be able to hear it.
Revolution will be televised.
Thank you to the Academy for this incredible recognition. Thank you so much.
Wow.
I told you, man!
I'm impressed, Morty.
Welcome to CNN special coverage.
Alright. Okay. You should
This is really happening.
Okay, hopefully that showed you a little bit about what we're all about and you recognise some of our content. So who is WarnerMedia? We are a global media company with some of the most valuable entertainment, news and sports brands in the world. I'm sure you are already aware of some of our most famous brands. So, for example, we've got Warner Brothers, HBO. Some of you may have heard of HBO Max, which is our direct-to-consumer service, currently being rolled out across the globe. CNN is our news network and was the first ever 24-hour news channel. We also have Boomerang, Cartoon Network and Adult Swim. They are our cartoon or kids content channels. We also have DC Comics, WB Games and many others. So as I mentioned before, we are a global company. Lots of our content does come from the US, but we also have a really large presence in EMEA, which stands for Europe, Middle East and Africa. We have local productions across Europe. In the UK, there's Leavesden Studios. Some of you may have visited the Harry Potter studio tour there, but we do also make films there. So, for example, the Wonder Woman films were made there, the Wizarding World films, and many others. We also have in Central and Eastern Europe, HBO is a really big brand, and they've been making tons of original programming for those territories. And as we are a global company, it's worth just mentioning that we are committed to promoting diversity within and across our business, regardless of race, gender, disability, sexual orientation, religion, or economic status. So our two main headquarters in the UK are both based in central London. We've got the WarnerMedia building on Old Street, and we also have Warner House in Holborn. Both offices are accessible to support all employees regardless of mobility. At the moment, we're kind of working on a bit of a hybrid model in terms of remote and in the office. It is entirely voluntary currently, but hopefully in sort of the early part of next year, we will start going back a little bit more formally, a couple of days a week. But we do still plan to work on in a kind of hybrid way. And then just to talk about some of our internship functions, we have marketing. So this makes up a huge percentage of our internships. When you see an advert for our films and content on the tube, or when you're scrolling on Twitter, it's our teams who work to put them there. We also have data and insights. So these roles provide vital analysis on how our content is performing, and they advise us on how we can do better. We also have publicity. These teams work to spread the word about our films. They arrange the glitzy events that you see on TV and any press junkets, along with everything else that comes with publicising our content. We also have technology. So from HBO Max to content localization, technology is an area where we're growing our internship opportunities, and we'll be rolling these out over the next few years. Then talent acquisition. So we'll be offering a number of talent acquisition or recruitment placements. These are for anyone who has an interest in the people side of the business or who wants to see how a HR department works. Game production. We have 2 video game production studios based in the UK. That's TT Games in Manchester and Brighton. And then we also have Rocksteady Studios in London. We currently offer a programming placement at TT Games, and we regularly hire grad caliber junior talent for both studios. Our sales teams work with physical and digital accounts to make sure our content is available across a wide range of stores, cinemas, and digital platforms. And our sales placements will see you providing support to these teams. There's then retail and supply chain. So our retail and supply chain teams coordinate the production and sales of our home entertainment catalogue, consumer products, and more. So that is from demand planning all the way to distribution. We also have lots of finance roles across our entire organisation. So from theatrical, new release to TV production, CNN to Warner Bros. Games. If you are interested in a career in finance, this is something or maybe perhaps a slightly more exciting place that you can come and work and get that experience. And then we have in-house design teams who put together artwork and animation for our marketing campaigns. So if you're a budding designer or animator, it's a really good opportunity to get some first-hand work experience. Then there is the PR and communications team. So we have world-class PR and comms teams from CNN to film release, along with employee and corporate comms. And then finally, journalism. So we have opportunities to work with CNN worldwide, who are the world leader in news and information. And CNN is always looking to for those who seek to inform, engage, and empower the world. So this is our a summary of our programs that are available in the UK. We have placement roles, which are a 12-month opportunity. They start in late June and then they run until the following July. These are for undergraduate students in their second year of university looking to spend their third year on placement, and the salary is £22,000. Our campaign for these is live now. We are looking, and the closing date is the 28th of November. I'll go on to explain a little bit more about the application process as we go on, but if this is what you're looking for, now is the time to be applying. We also have graduate internships. Again, these are 12 months starting mid-July until the following July. And these are for recent graduates. So we tend to say a maximum of 3 years since graduating. Salary for these is £26,000. We also have CNN interns. These are a 6-month opportunity and they either start in March or September. And they're for graduates looking to gain experience in journalism. These are paid at a daily rate and it's in line with the London living wage. And then finally, our legal interns. This is again a 12-month opportunity which starts in September. And it's for graduates who have completed an LPC or a BPTC before the start of their internship. And the salary for this is £28,000. So just to go over some of the perks and benefits of working for us. In the summer, we have a summer hours scheme, which lets you finish early on a Friday. We also have paid volunteer days, so you can use these to volunteer in the local community or take part in any company-led voluntary work. Our dress code is fairly casual. It does vary slightly from team to team, but you're not often expected to turn up in a suit or anything like that. We also have regular competitions to win tickets to premieres and other promotional events. And you can access lots of our content for free and also purchase discounted DVDs, games, and merchandise. And then looking at our early careers learning and development. So it is really important to us that we have a really sort of robust development program for our interns. So we host Connect sessions, which are a monthly opportunity for our early careers cohorts to get together and learn more about the company, to gain new skills and to network with each other. These come in the form of formal learning sessions, so talks from other teams in the business. For example, we had one recently with HBO Max, or presentations from other interns to learn about their experience and roles. We also have intern learning courses, which range from email etiquette to presentation skills. Our goal is to kind of give interns the most valuable experience they can get and sort of build skills that they'll be able to take on to their next roles. And we also have other formal courses available on areas such as unconscious bias and promoting diversity in the workplace. And then finally, we have wellness events, which are an opportunity for our interns to improve their work-life balance by managing their mental health and workload. And we sort of really value the opportunity for our interns to network with each other. We have a network of around 100 interns and apprentices in the UK, which makes it a really perfect opportunity to meet other like-minded people at a similar point in their career. We also have recently launched a new early careers mentoring scheme where experienced employees have signed up to be matched with a WarnerMedia intern, graduate or apprentice from another business unit. So the aim of this scheme is to help our early careers group to grow their network, share career stories and get advice from those who have been through it all before. So just some advice then about the application process. We are, as I said, we are live at the moment with our placement applications and you can apply for them if that's what you're looking for. The process will be the same whether you're applying for a undergraduate or a graduate role. So this will be relevant no matter what kind of level you're at. When you're submitting your CV, we'd always say to try to keep it to 1 page if you can, but maximum of 2 pages, and include any responsibilities or skills that are relevant to the role you're applying to, and also remember to proofread it. Once you've submitted your CV on our system, you will then be invited to complete a questionnaire on HireView. We encourage you to apply as early as possible so that you have enough time to complete the next stage of the process. And for our current open placement roles, you will have until Sunday, the 5th of December to complete the questions. So that's the 28th of November to submit your CV, and then you get an extra week after that to complete your questions. So the deadline for that is the 5th of December. Each role will have different questions. So the more roles you apply to, the more time that you'll need to complete these. So bear that in mind. When it comes to the application questions, when you're answering those, refer back to the job description on the website, relate your answers to the daily tasks that have been listed and the skills that are required. We are expecting full answers for each question. You have up to 4,000 characters, so make the most of this. Make sure you proofread your answers for spelling and grammar so you can ask a friend or use your university careers service to help with this. And make sure that you research us and the company before answering your questions. So for example, if the role is related to film, have a look at our upcoming slate, and that's likewise for games and TV. Have a look at what we've got coming out, what we've had released in the last year, what's been successful, what might not have been so successful. And there's no advantage to submitting your application early, so please do take your time when you're answering the questions. And just to repeat again, for the placements roles, the initial application submissions close on the 28th of November, and the final deadline for the questions to be completed on HireView is the Sunday, the 5th of December. And then if you are fortunate enough to have your application shortlisted, you'll then be invited to complete an on-demand video interview, which is also on HireView. These will be sent out in January, and you will have 7 days to complete this stage from when the invite is sent. So if you have applied, please check your junk mail regularly during sort of the early part of January, just in case you've missed something. For the video interview, you'll be given a series of questions and you'll record yourself answering these on camera. You'll be given 3 attempts to record each question. And I would also recommend just to check the deadline and make sure that you don't miss it. So it will usually be 7 days from the invite. And then following that, for 2022 starting placements and internships, assessment centres will be online on Teams or Zoom. So the day will usually begin with an icebreaker, then followed by a group and individual tasks. So these will often be related to the role that you're applying for, but other times they might be a bit more generic. So for example, an Excel or a numerical test. Some assessment centres will end at lunchtime, and other teams may wish to conduct further interviews in the afternoon. So you'll find out if you've made it to that stage. Some teams might not even run assessment centres. They might just do interviews with the, with the wider team or with a hiring manager. But our top tips for assessment centres, whether you're applying at WarnerMedia or anywhere else, firstly, make sure that you dress appropriately. This will just show that you've made an effort and will help you to come across professionally. So a smart shirt or jumper is fine. You don't need to be wearing a suit. Make sure that you leave plenty of time to get yourself online for the start of the day, because you never know what sort of Wi-Fi issues you'll encounter. Prepare some questions to ask the team and carry out plenty of research on the company as well. Again, search for the managers and the assessors on LinkedIn if you have this information, or if you're coming to an assessment centre with us, like have a bit of research about, if it's a theatrical role, are there any films coming out soon because you may be asked about them, or if it was a role in HR, see if there's any news stories that may have an impact on our employees. And as a company, we are firmly committed to diversity, equity, and inclusion. We believe that it is essential that our workforce, content, and creative partners reflect the diversity of our society and the world around us. So this means that when you apply for an internship with us, you will not be judged on the basis of the school or university you attended. Everybody is welcome regardless of whether or where you studied. To be eligible to apply, you don't need to be predicted a 2-1 or a first, and we won't look at your A-level results. And we also don't expect you to have industry experience. If you have some, that's great, but an entry-level career opportunity should be just that. So, of course, we do have some criteria. We want you to demonstrate your passion for the area that you're applying to, so why you deserve this career opportunity over everyone else. We also want to see, you geeking out about the movies and TV shows and games, that you enjoy. Hopefully that is ours. Doesn't always have to be. But whichever part of the business you're applying to, you really just need to be showing that you are passionate and you're interested in that area. So make sure your answers are unique. Our process is really competitive, so you need to think outside the box if you want to stand out. And you also need to make sure that you've done research into our company. So, for example, talk about our upcoming slate, as I've said, or anything that we've been in the news for. We do see hundreds of generic copy and paste answers, but we don't see those from the successful candidates. So they're the ones who, really show that they've done their research and they know what they're talking about and why they really want the role. And that's the end of my slides. I'm going to do a Q&A. So if anyone has any questions, I'm just going to stop sharing my screen.
Hello. That was brilliant. Thank you so much for that. I'm sure everyone found that super insightful, and it's really good to hear so much detail around the application process. And obviously those deadlines are coming up soon, so well timed in terms of giving all that updates. A few questions through, keep them coming in. We've got a little bit of time, so we've got about 10 minutes or so to answer any questions you have. A couple of questions that have come up a little bit, which are quite interesting, are around diversity. So one question is, we've mentioned that WarnerMedia is committed to diversity, but it'd be great to know what this actually means to you and how that's shown.
Yeah, so I know my experience is definitely more from like the corporate side and recruitment, but I know that we have in the last couple of years, maybe, especially when it comes to our intern recruitment, we've really radically changed the universities that we go out to and that we partner with to make sure that we are targeting students, or we're targeting universities that have more of a diverse population of students. So, rather than going to the top Russell groups and relying on that, we've been making sure that we've been building partnerships with other universities, like particularly like local London ones and places like that. And then I know on screen or behind screen and things like that, we've also been looking at making sure that our content is reflective of the population and making sure that the people who are working on those productions and things like that, there's been a lot more of a drive to ensure that it's not just who you know, which is very common. It's a way of getting into the entertainment industry traditionally. So yeah, there's a lot of things that we've been doing just to make sure that that isn't the case and that everyone has sort of a fair opportunity to succeed.
Love that, and linked in with the event name, which is even better. I didn't even ask you to do that, so that was perfect. Another question, not specifically around diversity, but around imposter syndrome, which I think does happen quite often, especially students from a lower socioeconomic background. Do you have any kind of experience in how to manage or overcome imposter syndrome, and what would your recommendation be, especially with candidates that are applying and might be experiencing imposter syndrome?
Yeah, I mean, I think everyone gets imposter syndrome, and it is something that you kind of, everyone I think deals with it, especially I think as my experience, I never went to university, I never did the traditional route to get into work, and I think that I I kind of, because of that, when I'm hiring loads of grads and loads of students and things, and they say to me, oh, what uni did you go to? I feel a bit like, oh, I didn't. Yeah. Should I not be here because of that? So yeah, I can relate to that. I think you just have to remind yourself that you got yourself to where you are, and only you got yourself to where you are. So yeah, I don't know. It's a hard one because I think it's not something I've fully learned to overcome myself. But I don't know if Annie or Roxanne have any words of advice from that front.
I would say I definitely also relate to that. Sometimes, like I'll just be doing my work and thinking like, oh my gosh, like this actually makes a difference. Like this is real. It's not just a fake task that someone's given me. Like someone's put me in this position and said, yeah, you're good enough for this. So sometimes it is just kind of taking in the moment, like taking in the fact that you are where you are and nothing's going to change that. You're here now, so enjoy it. And also like my manager makes a good like effort to constantly remind me that this is a learning environment, so there will be times where I feel like I don't understand this, I shouldn't be here, or I don't get this, but he does take his time to always just remind me like you're still learning, so it's okay, you don't need to have everything figured out to be here.
Yeah, absolutely. Annie, were you going to add anything to that?
No, I was going to echo what the other two had said. I think that's a really good way to describe it. I mean, it's a big industry, but you've just got to trust that you got yourself to where you are, and that's what's important. You've done the hard work, and once you're there, you should just trust the process and take on anything that you can and take on any experiences you get given.
Love that. Great answers. A question now about the application process. I think those application deadlines have got everyone in that mindset. What part of the application process / assessment centre do people typically fall down on?
I guess it's hard to, I think when you're doing the application process, so when you're filling in your answers, a lot of people tend to fall down and just not realising how much weight they carry. So they might just put short answers, or they might copy and paste from other roles that they've been applying to and things like that. And I know it is a lot of effort to, and we are asking for a lot, but it's how we're going to differentiate you from someone else without, doing it in an unfair way. So, really putting a lot of effort into those application questions it's a big deal, and I think a lot of people don't quite realize that. We see a lot of that are kind of like 2-sentence answers and things like that, and it is always disappointing when you've seen their other answers and they've been really good and they've kind of just clearly got to one and thought, oh, I don't know, I can't be bothered to answer this, something like that. But then I'd say at assessment centre, I don't know, there's nothing in particular really that people tend to fall down on, because we're assessing you as a person and how you're interacting with people and whether that's compatible with the team. So I think the idea for assessment centres is to just be yourself and try not to be too nervous. And I know that can be easier said than done, but the more that you prepare for things, the less nervous you'll hopefully feel. So I think that's all you can do, really.
Yeah, amazing. Preparation is key, I think. It sounds like on both the application and the assessment. We have a question from Ellen now, and it's quite specific around degrees. So Ellen said, how important is it that your degree matches your placement? So for example, would a psychology student be potentially expected for a marketing placement?
Yeah, we don't really, and other than finance, I think in finance they generally like to see that you've done either a finance or an accounting degree or a business degree with finance, whereas the rest of the opportunities are pretty open. I know that so in marketing, for example, I've seen creative writing degrees, I've seen psychology degrees, I've seen business degrees, social sciences and things like that. So yeah, we're very open. We don't think that you should, you don't have to have done marketing or anything like that. It's good to have knowledge of marketing, but yeah, we're not expecting you to already have the knowledge, because that is the point of an entry-level career opportunity.
Amazing. Another great question here, and I think really linked to social mobility as well. The question is, have you always had policies around not taking into consideration which university they go to or the grades? And the second part of that question is, how do you feel like this change has impacted the culture within WarnerMedia?
We haven't always had this policy. It used to be a lot of the shortlisting was down to individual teams, whereas now we do it centrally via my team. So us getting hold of that part of the process meant that we decided that that was something we were going to drop, basically, and we were going to start looking at it and shortlisting in a different way. In terms of how it's changed the culture, I think in the last couple of years, I have noticed that the intern pool is a lot more diverse. They're not all just from the same 5 universities, which means that we're getting lots of different types of people, which is always great. And you're starting to see now people returning into the business as well. So they've gone and, they've completed their final year, they're back. So yeah, it's making things look a lot more diverse, and you're hearing of lots of different types of people that are working with us. It's not just all, I think the media industry is genuinely, and I know I'm going to say it again, but it has always been about who you know. It's always been, someone's nephew or someone's uncle got them the job and things like that. So yeah, with us doing these types of things, it is starting to not be so much like that.
Yeah, making the shift and making progress. Awesome. A few other questions. This one's quite specific, but I think it's an interesting view with kind of remote working versus going back to studios, offices. What would you say to someone that would love to work for WarnerMedia but lives in the north? Would you say they need to make a big move down south, for example?
It's up to you, really. I think it depends on the role. Some teams prefer to have a couple of days in the office, but other teams are a bit more flexible about it. I think it kind of, when you're applying, it's something that you'll be able to ask the manager, do you see this being in the office? If you're living in like a place where you can commute to London within an hour or two and you don't mind doing that once or twice a week, then you don't need to move. It's not going to be the be all and end all. I personally have like about an hour and a half commute into London, so I do that 2 days a week, and that's fine for me. So yeah, you don't necessarily need to make the move. I know of interns. I think, Roxanne, have you moved to London?
No, I haven't. I live my journey in is about an hour and 20 minutes. So as well, I'll go in once or twice a week into the office. But yeah, it just really depends when everyone else is going in. But I do know he's now an employee, but he was an intern. He was a graduate intern before, and he still lives in Coventry. So he did come down to the office once, but it's not like a instant thing for him. A lot of the times they'll have calls on Teams, and that seems to be working for him as well.
So yeah, we're trying to be as flexible as we can be. Some teams are less flexible and they do want a presence in the office a couple of days a week. But for certain roles, I don't think there's necessarily a need to move down. As long as, once a month or once every couple of weeks, you can make the trip, then yeah, I don't think you need to move all the way down south necessarily.
All right, awesome. That's good to know. I think the working world's just changed a bit more, hasn't it, since everything last year? So it's not always as linear as that. We've got 2 minutes. Oh my gosh, I feel like it's gone so quick. There's loads of really specific questions around application processes. I just want to let everyone know WarnerMedia are going to be in the employee booth after. So if you're in the process already and you've got a really specific question, we'll cover that. But one thing that I think would be really interesting that's been asked specifically is, Roxanne, are you able to just give us a brief overview of your experience of how you got to where you are now? I know you're going to be covering it in the panel later, but a quick overview would be really helpful, I think, for everyone.
Yeah, sure. So I always planned to do a placement within my degree, and I was looking when I was in second year and struggling to find one, because my degree is maths and statistics, which is a STEM degree. So I was kind of trying to find something I wouldn't find boring, but I did come across WarnerMedia, which was kind of perfect because I like the balance of the creative industry and then also still have my STEM degree. So I did apply, and going through the process was quite quick, and it was quite good because there was constant communication. I could always just ask questions by email if I needed to. The video process was kind of scary, but I think my biggest advice would be, when you record, try and have someone stand in front of you and talk to them. It may make you feel a bit more comfortable, and it will look a lot better than just talking to nothing. And also I didn't have an assessment center, but I did have calls with my manager and the intern before me, who did not have a STEM background, by the way. So yeah, you don't need to for every degree, for every role. But yeah, we just had a semi-formal conversation, but there was just discussion about your favorite TV show, and just use that opportunity to show yourself and kind of just make the most of it, because it is scary and you are going to be nervous, but afterwards you're going to wish that you gave like the best that you had. But now in the current role, it's very good. I've met more of the wider team, and everyone's really friendly, and you'll definitely have other interns who work, if not in the same team as you, but closely. So so far so good.
I love that. I'm going to take that with me. If ever I'm doing something that's scary, just actually have someone there that you're talking to, and then it comes across way more natural and conversational. Great tips, and I know we're hearing more from you later, which we're all really looking forward to. So there are some questions that haven't been answered. I know, Amy, you've got a really specific one, and there's definitely a few others as well. So thank you so much, Sarah, Annie and Roxanne. That was so insightful. Everyone, if you want to head over to the employer booths and ask any other questions, I believe all three of you, are you going to be there to chat through? Amazing. So a great opportunity to have a one-on-one time. But for the meantime, just thank you so much. That was a really amazing presentation, and your deadlines are coming up soon, so everyone get on it. Thank you. For everyone else then, we have the employer booths open from now for around until 3 p.m. So really encourage you to make the most of this time. Chat to any employers that you want to, build those networks, ask any questions you have, make the most of this next half hour and really get chatting away. I'm sure you'll get so many great insights from them, and they all can't wait to talk to you. After we have the employer booth session at 3 p.m, we're moving into the later half of the sessions where we have BDO, Clyde & Co, HSBC, and our amazing panelists are going to be discussing as well with us. So head on over to the employer booths, see you at 3 o'clock for the next presentations, and enjoy the rest of your afternoon.